Okay, we're now recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our wallet developer and testing group for today, Tuesday, December 26th. So, Arvin, welcome. Hope you enjoyed. I think you said there was a Chinese holiday last week. Hope you enjoyed yourself. And welcome
Yeah.
back. Yes.
Okay.
So if you're welcome to give us an update on the work you've been doing, if you'd like to go ahead and do
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Desktop one. This week's I just finished the basic part of the transfer UI part. Because I still cannot connect to my local R node part, so I didn't finish the real transfer function. But I just finished the basic part, like type in your amount and then type in your address, and then you click the send function, and you will type in your password. If your password is correct, then you will get the send function. This send function in by now it's just a console point log uh, to show that it can work. When I find out how to use the connection to the R node, then I will just replace this part, and then the real transfer function can be work. That's this part that I finished this week. It's the basic transfer part.
Okay.
That yeah, and the language can be changed. That's both English version and the Chinese version can use. That's then a reset part and a set part. But the main function that's about connect to the R node, that I didn't figure it out. That maybe someone should help me about this part.
And which part was that you needed help with?
I just test with the Thomas Arnold client JS, and I just clone his part and
Okay.
use the Docker to
Hmm.
Docker Compose to try the function, but
Okay.
it didn't work well.
Right.
I didn't know which part didn't work well.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
um,
And Thomas Loff, he's offered to help you with that portion of it. So
yeah.
yes.
If he can help me about how to deal with the Arnold locally, I think I can finish the check balance and the transfer function, because uh whole work left was the connection part with the Arnold, and the whole the other part, like show the max function, it can be done very soon. So maybe after we finish the connect part, then
Mhm.
we just finish the MyRChain wallet.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah,
understood.
maybe this week or next
Oh,
week,
wow.
the
Exciting.
whole part function can be done, and this can be on production.
Exciting. That's,
Yeah, and there are some little details that maybe I'm not very sure convinced that about the transfer speed.
mhm.
Yeah, this number I just type in it randomly, but
Okay.
there are some functions that I can use to calculate the
Mm.
transfer fee about, for example, the account cost accounting.
It
Right,
is.
cost accounting.
It is.
Yeah. There's some functions that it will show how much maybe this transfer function will cost, and if there are some the feature like uh, slide this part to change the uh, like gas to speed up the transfer time. Is there some feature like that?
Okay. Yeah, that one I'm not sure about as far as how if there's a feature to speed up the transfer compute time. But
Yeah, because you know mm, either have this
mhm,
function and
right. Hmm.
yeah, like MetaMask,
Right.
it has to, you can speed up your transfer speed. So
Right.
maybe my Ultra will can also have this feature, and
Hmm.
I'm not sure what about Arnold
Yeah,
can is
I
there
haven't
some.
heard anything mentioned about that feature. You know, usually on many other coins, if you pay more, then you get a faster transaction speed.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
so
how
I haven't heard any talk of that, but yeah, it's a good question.
And putting it in context, one of the promises that the RChain platform has when it comes to scalability is that speed. So, you know, the hope is that it will do Visa level transactions. So uh, it may be that speed never becomes an issue, that it's always fast. That would be nice if that'll be the case, but that's the understanding that that's the reason why I believe there's never been a conversation or discussion of increasing the speed or increasing the speed in relation to the cost of a transaction.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I believe on these other projects like Ethereum or XRP, you know, every other project seems to do it, but I think when you pay more, you get bumped up in the queue, so you're guaranteed to be in the next block. I think that's how they do it.
Okay.
And by the way, what about if there are some features that we can list our uh, transaction
Mm,
transaction
what do you mean?
about this account?
Oh, okay. So a feature to list the transactions,
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
a history of
Yeah,
transactions.
history transaction.
Yeah,
So
So
like an explorer
right,
for your
a,
transactions. Yeah, that's a, you know,
a
yeah,
block explorer. So that has been talked about,
yeah.
and I'm not sure, you know, what the, yeah, I know Tomislav, he may have more insight as to where the block explorer is on the development roadmap.
okay, this is my question about I'm not confidence with,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the version one we can on come to take into shape is that the basic transfer function and this whole part,
Okay.
and I think uh, we need at at about 2 week, this can be real take into production with
Okay.
the test network. Yeah,
Very good.
I will talk with the Thomas about how to connect to the Arnold locally, and then I will try to connect to the testnet.
Okay.
And maybe this part will be changed because maybe we need to take different, for example, test network or local network, and to get different connection between Arnold. So when we have different network, this part will be useful, and I will just make it better to suit this feature. And also, this part can be worked well on the mobile.
Right.
Yeah, you can see that whole suit well. For example, with the iPhone 10.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah, cool.
Well, good. So we're already, let's see, is that? Oh, hey, Jim. Welcome.
Hey, Jim.
So good. So we're already talking about, so after the release of 1.0, we're already sort of putting together the roadmap for future releases, future features. So we have a block explorer, so we can have a transaction history, and then a mobile app, progressive web app for Android and for iOS. So good. So we're already looking into the future. Okay. All right. Any other updates, Arvin? Is that pretty much?
This whole part about wallet, I didn't have any other to update.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, let me, I put together kind of an agenda for today. Let me just take a look at that. It's not really much of an agenda, just kind of what we wanted to talk about. Let's see here. Okay, so last week we combined our wallet development and testing work group with our Dapp developer working group. So later on today, we're supposed to have a Dapp developer working group, but not a whole lot of people have been attending that. So what we've been doing is combining the session later in the day with this session. So, you know, that may be the way we want to do it. So since Arvin, since you're already did your update, and great job. So why don't we go ahead and combine this with the Dapp developer working group. And Raphael, you're on the call. Any updates with Dappy? How are things coming along?
I might have some questions for Arvin. Can I ask them now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have question. I want to know about the interactions with Arnold that are required by my RChain wallet. There is just sending a transaction and reading the balance, right?
I just use the library that Thomas just developed. So this part, the whole function worked with. Let me show the source code to demonstrate it. The whole part was worked in this part.
Okay.
For example, the check balance is just have the send check balance
yes.
row line Roland contact.
Okay,
Then it's will deploy to the Arnold with this feature, this function, and then we will get deploy ID to save the in local, and for example, the check rev balance, because when you log in first time, it will we need to deploy it uh, uh, once, and then we just save the deploy ID. In next time, we just get the data from the deploy part. So in this part, we will use the provide key to send the deploy, and the same with the uh, uh, transfer,
okay,
because you need to type in your password. You need to for example, just for some demonstration, you need to type in your password to get the provide key to sign the transfer, because hold the part or the, for example, provide key saved in the local. So we need some feature to make user get in this part with a better interaction, like type in your account password. So that's a basic interaction with the Arnold. The whole part just yeah. Also, the two parts I didn't finish because I didn't connect to the Arnold by now, is the transfer function and the deploy function. So that's why I just said maybe I need Thomas' help to connect it correctly. Then this part will be work well. That's it. That's our whole how my RChain wallet connect to the
okay.
Arnold.
All the transaction tab, it is fake data, right? The transactions list.
Yeah.
Okay. It is not okay. Okay. Yes, because right now I think we have no way to get the transactions from the blockchain, and I don't know how would it be possible right now. Ned, I have.
Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, I want to know if there are some update about check balance feature with the Arnold.
So I can show you something that I was working on.
Okay, okay, that's great.
But before that, I want to tell you about deploy ID. Can you go to the code when you send the deploy?
Huh?
Can you go to your code when you do the deploy?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I see that there I can get a deploy ID with the send deploy function.
Yeah. So I want to tell you that this deploy ID is really the signature. The signature that you are sending inside the deploy is exactly the deploy ID.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
So you don't have to read the response. If you don't see the error in the response, then you know this is the deploy ID.
Okay.
And you know the signature is really a unique identifier of this deploy. So you don't have to parse a response.
Oh.
And you mentioned so now what is now difficult to get data from the blockchain. So when you deploy get balance, you're pushing the balance data on the deploy channel. something like that, right? So when you ask for the data, you are asking for the data on this on this deploy channel, and you cannot get this data until this block is included. So until someone so if you're not on your local node, you must wait for someone to propose this block. So it is not, as you said, you first deploy the rolling contract to get the balance, and then you need to know when to ask our node for the data. That's the problematic part. So for now, we have options to just ping the node for the blocks, and we can find a deploy, or another option is to connect to WebSocket and just wait for this block to be added. And of course, the correct way would be to wait until it's finalized. So I was thinking how to somehow simplify the whole process when you just create create the deploy and just wait for the data or something similar.
Maybe the waiting can be accepted, because in the wallet I just show when you didn't receive the balance, it will just spin for some times. After we receive the data, it will show the balance.
So you can read the data sometimes, right?
Yeah,
if you
it
first
may be
deploy,
not
then
so bad, because people don't mind waiting for some time about this.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we can tolerate waiting, but we must be sure that when we display something, it's really the correct data. So that's the important part. And now I don't see how can we do this, in a safe way that we can be sure. We need information if this deploy, when we were checking the balance, if it is included in the DAG, and if this block is finalized. And this is not easy, So, or on the one side, yeah, it's not easy to do this, very very cleanly or.
So let me make sure I understood what you just said. So processing the transaction is no problems there, but verifying or reading the transaction, that's a challenge. Is that correct?
Yeah. And we have another way of getting the data without pushing the deploy first. And this is with Trace API. But this API is not very friendly. So at the end, after you get all of the data from the blocks, and you get the whole trace, and then you can really extract all the transactions. But you see raw data, right? You see rolling code. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy to just recover all the information, because you need to parse rolling code. And this is something also which is not very simple.
So Tomislav, we were talking about a block explorer, or a feature that shows history of transactions. So given the complexity that's involved in reading the DAG, in your estimation, how long would it take for someone to work on creating that block explorer, or creating the tools so we can have a history of transactions in my RChain wallet?
So this is two different things. Getting the DAG and getting the transactions.
Okay.
I think Will already built like a block explorer,
Okay.
DAG explorer. And this is not difficult. You have a parent-child relationship, and you can display the DAG. But what the DAG shows you how blocks are connected. And inside the block, you have a rolling code, which is executed.
Okay.
So if you need information from the rolling, you need to parse the rolling code. And that's the problem, the part which is problematic, because inside this rolling code, there is information about transactions, for which account to which account the transaction occurred.
Okay.
And this is not, something that you can very easily extract and say, okay, I can, understand.
Okay.
It seems that my RChain wallet will require some dedicated server logic, right?
So for example, how MetaMask is working, they remember all the transaction locally, but I don't think that they have some kind of a way of extracting all the transactions. I'm not sure about that, but so yeah, how to extract and extract all of the transactions, I'm still not completely sure, because Chris said in Discord that you should be able without paying anything to get the balance, but I'm not completely sure how to do this. I mean, we have this trace API, but it's not easy to use. So.
Right. Okay.
So as the first step, I was starting with web API, so we can just we can have easy access interface from everywhere, and also we can encapsulate some of this functionality inside one method. Like, for example, how to get the latest block number or private names. Now you must ask Arnold to get this information. So we can somehow encapsulate this in one method and say, okay, I need this to prepare my deploy, or to get data on a name. Maybe we can just send a request and have like long pooling request, which will wait until our deploy is included in the block and finalized, and then we'll get the data back. So we don't need to go through the whole another WebSocket API to get.
And shouldn't we hide that whole process behind the GraphQL interface?
Yeah, for now, let me share the screen. Arjen, can you give me the screen?
Yeah, I can stop it.
So I have the same interface. I was just I add to the same code. So what I have here, I will check the balance in the same way, and I will show you what is going on. What request I'm creating. So I have the same deploy, but you can see my my request is directly in the browser, HTTP request. It's a little different the structure, but it's almost the same. And after that, I'm using data at name. I didn't call this listen because this is just a request, right? And it's the same thing. It's also the HTTP request. So this API is directly on the node. So this request is a status request that we already have, HTTP. And this API, new API, I'm planning to create some manual page just with the description of HTTP, because if we have HTTP, why not have the included description? For example, get blocks is just a get request. you know. Or if we want to reduce it to only one block, we can easily do. So this is what I'm working on, to have some kind of easy way to call node and get the data. And for example, this to get the data, this method that we now have, listen for data at name, it is simplified so that the request that we are accepting, it's only unforgeable name, right? Because this makes sense. I mean, maybe this is not the covering all the cases, but for now, this is what we need. Like, you know, we just need a list of unforgeable names, and different unforgeable names can be private name, deploy, or deployer, and that's it. So what I'm trying to do is very simple interface that you know, you can push the data and you can get it without using different protocols, right? With only HTTP, you should be able to do this.
Nice.
That's
Yeah, very good.
So I'm hoping that I will solve the problem, you know, at least to say we get the data, and then I will try to do the transactions.
So this is an enhancement to our node itself.
Sorry?
This is an enhancement to our node itself. This
Yes. Yeah. Yes. This is exactly the API that I'm showing you. Like this is a simple interface. Yeah. And this prepare deploy will return names and current block height.
This is nice.
very great.
I know that we all need it. So
Right.
yeah. And for now, I'm sending a deploy which is serialized to sign a deploy. It must be serialized, and we use protobuf to serialize this few of these properties, right? So I would be happy if we don't have to use protobuf at all, just for this part, because if we have a complete HTTP API, then you know, we can combine this data deploy and deploy researcher. So I'm not saying correctly. Deploy data. We can combine in a stream and make a hash of that and sign without protobuf serializer. I think we can do this in more simplified way. For example, how they are doing in Ethereum, or maybe not the same as Ethereum, because I think we need to serialize this in a way that it's not easily that is not possible to do, you know, a different way of writing fields so that you can get the same hash. So that's the one security thing.
Oh, okay.
But I think we can do this, and you know, not depend on the protobuf, because the protobuf is now used only for that. If we are looking at the web API.
Okay.
In RChain toolkit, I do it without protobuf already. All the signing stuff is done outside protobuf.
Well, what are you using to construct deploy data type object?
I just do a raw JavaScript object, and then get the hash from it, and then get the signature from the hash by copying the Scala implementation.
Yeah, but you to get the hash, you need to serialize this object, right?
Yes.
So you must use a protobuf somehow.
Let me check. I think. Okay.
but because you will not get the same thing, you know, if you're not using the you know, strictly the same algorithm.
It's all in the. This is RChain Toolkit repository.
Mm-hmm.
I have a. This is your stuff. So I have a get deploy data.
Mm-hmm.
There is a private key too, because it's a get deploy data signed. Should be named like this. So I get the payment from another function, which is quite simple. Get payment just returns this object.
Mm-hmm.
This is raw JavaScript. And then to sign, get the, oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah. So and this is not strictly necessary, right? I mean, this is just a convenient way for our node to use the same serializer, because everything is serialized with protobuf. So, you know, it's the easiest way.
Okay.
But if we can just combine these properties, you know, one after another with the length, it maybe is not so optimized or so fast as protobuf or whatever, you know. But for our purpose, we can say, okay, this is completely fine, and you know, for the web, this is great. And that will be very easy to use, right? Without any code generation and everything. It's very easy. So
that's very cool. What you're working on, great.
Thanks. So I first need to do some proposal, and I will suggest it to the whole team, and you know.
Okay. And I have a question. Since you are working on some new data name endpoints, HTTP endpoints, what is the difficulty in implementing some basic get balance endpoint?
Yeah, this implies that our node already have like built in some rolling code to do this. So I'm not sure that we want exactly that. I would like to have, you know, I would like to have better support in rolling, definitely. But what is the correct way? The correct way would be that we have some code registered in the registry that get the balance, and then you somehow say, you know, I want to execute this code to get the balance. You know. So I'm not. I agree with you that would be useful, but I'm not sure. You know, this implies, you know, these kind of things to be included, and I'm not sure that we want this or you know. But I would like to discuss this, or you know, so we can maybe you know, see if this makes sense. And, or as Jim said, that we automatically get a GraphQL interface inside the node, right? This kind of stuff, this is why I would like to see this modular. So you can just, you know, when you run, maybe you don't want this to expose to validator, but you can run your own read-only node, and you can have, you know, a GraphQL flag turned on, and you have GraphQL interface on your node, right?
So earlier, Arvin was saying another couple weeks or so, and he feels that his piece of my RChain wallet is going to be completed, but he still needs that assistance on connecting it to the R node and help with the local network. So in Tomislav, you'll be able to work with Arvin on that, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is also part of what I'm doing now. So
okay.
I don't have all of the solutions. So
all the solutions.
Yeah.
Okay.
For now, Arvin, you can just play on your local node and. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's see here. So later on today, we're supposed to have a Dapp developer working group. But what we did last week was combine the wallet session with the Dapp developer, since not too many people did attend the one later in the day, and usually it's the same people. So we've got about another 15 minutes left. So what we can do is, if everyone's okay, if there's any more wallet topics we can talk about, we can finish that up, but we can go into any Dapp development issues or updates if we want to. So we don't have to have session later on today. So anyone want to speak to what they're working on as far as dApps other than the wallet?
Yeah, I can show some stuff. So I'm still working on the next release of Dappy, and I just want to. So of course Dappy does listen data name calls, and I still have the same issue as last week, which is a delay of this request, which is a bit long. Or I think my computer is kind of crashing.
I remember seeing the discussion of you setting up, Raphael setting up a read-only node.
Yes, yes, that's what I did a lot of time, but I relaunched it yesterday on a brand new server. So my node is currently syncing with the network. It has just 4,000 blocks to catch up, and then it should be up to date. So what I am just showing you here, I will be able to test it with my read-only node. So I will just do a listen data name call for this unforgeable name, where I have sent a Dappy web application, just to show you that it takes time. So I cannot release the Dappy release because it's too long for users to play with Dappy applications. So this is a call to a node of the Dappy of the official RChain testnet. So this is why I'm setting up a read-only node. It's because it takes 20 seconds, but maybe it will take the same time for my node to do the work. So I am kind of stuck if it is the case that read-only nodes have the same delays. I will have to set up some caching mechanism, or to hope for next RNode release to be faster than the current one.
So, Raphael, are you using 0917, or which version are you using?
Yes, this is a code to the testnet. So the testnet is on 9.17.
Right.
So, Raphael, can I ask? Yeah, sure.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Stanislaw.
My question is more specific. So I see you have depth of 200.
Yes.
So this will also, because now I'm looking at these structures when I'm working on this web API, and you will get the blocks also with this call to RNode. So maybe you get a lot of data from Node, and maybe this is.
I don't think so. I get this. With the post block data.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and inside post block data, yeah.
No, that's because what you see here is this console log. So it's
yeah,
a block info key. But yes, there is a lot of stuff, but I'm not sure it is the reason. Maybe it is, but not sure. I think the reason.
I'm just guessing. Yeah.
I think it is just the RNode software processing time.
But did you? So when you try this on your local node, right? This
yes.
works fast as you expected, right?
Yes, very much faster.
So when you have read-only node, it's really the same thing, right? Almost, right? You have just a smaller amount of blocks. So I'm just, I'm just thinking, is this the problem to for Node to somehow get the data from more blocks? But it shouldn't, because if you get the same amount of blocks, then this should be the same, right? Somehow. So can you, if you try with the depth of 1 or 2, is it faster?
If the depth, if I change it to 2,
yeah, because I think it should be enough, right?
No, I tried it this afternoon. I deployed something, and I successfully did the call with depth 2. But when the block accumulates, you have to raise this number. So I'm doing the call with depth 2, but I might, I think I'll have nothing because there is no data. Okay, it's empty. This log is empty. So I have to, that's why, because it's 200, and that's why I'll have to set up to, what I want to do in my use case is just infinity. I just want to get the last value of an unforgeable name. So the depth for me has no, it's very useful in some case, but not in my case. So I'll have to set it up to 1 million in every code. But you see, it takes approximately 22 seconds.
Yeah, I'm worried that maybe this is not what how I was thinking that depth should be this very small number when you want to access the data, because you will see you will get the blocks but whenever this name was changed, you will get the data, right? And you don't care about this data. So what I'm saying is you make a deploy to some private name, and this deploy ID, right? This signature, right? And then you want to be sure that this deploy ID is inside the block that is finalized. And then you want to say, okay, now I want the data exactly from that block. And, and then you can say, I'm completely sure that I have the right data. Because if you just request the data, you don't know what are you looking, which change. If you are using the name only once, maybe this is not the problem, but you can see how you can get different data, right?
Okay, so yes, but right now you are talking of deploying and then reading. In my case, I'm just mimicking what Dapp software will do when a user searches for a website. So I might launch Dapp.
Okay, I see.
So
you really don't care about deploy ID. You already know exactly private name.
A user will just do a request, and he has to recover the value of the unforgeable name. So he does not care about deploy or anything like that. It is just pure reading into the blockchain.
I see.
And this takes 30 seconds.
I see. And you want to be sure that if you don't get the data, that data doesn't really exist, right? That's the important part.
Yes. If it exists, I absolutely want to have it.
And if it doesn't exist, you want the information that doesn't exist.
Yes, right? Of course.
For example, this can be maybe problematic. So yeah.
So this hitting enter just does a listen data name, and right now you'd see that it takes some time. Maybe it will not load at all, okay, it loads. So that's great. So it loaded. This is a testnet linked Dapp. So that's great. So it works, but it's kind of a bit random how much time it takes. But right now it seems great.
Yeah,
but
I think
yes,
that testnet is under pressure always. So this is why I asked that we have some kind of network that is not under pressure, so we can.
Okay.
Now, when you say under pressure, what do you mean?
I mean that we have a script that constantly deploys on the network.
Like Dapp.ro?
Yeah, you know.
So if we were to set up a separate thing where we're not running Dapp.ro, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure that Dapp.ro is causing any severe performance issues. I'm thinking this is actually is it related to the single parent Casper aspect right now, or is it not? Because he is able to see better, Rafael is able to see better performance with a local node, right?
Well, this is, for me, it's very difficult to say this. And also what Rafael is now doing is not a deploy. He's just listening data at name, only that.
Okay.
And he waits 20 seconds for that. So there is no deploy included.
Can we have NutZipper or anybody else kind of trace that to see, or run some flame graphs on that to see what's causing that?
Yeah, that wouldn't be too hard, I think. Right.
Yeah, I mean, we should either hook up flame graphs to testnet itself, or we should do it in Sandbox. Either way, whatever is easiest. But I think we should run flame graph to see what's causing that problem. The other thing I was wondering was we could, if we were to run a testnet that doesn't have Dapp.ro and is also more stable between versions, maybe it'll skip a version that reduces performance, or if the new features are not needed, like basically a testnet stable versus a testnet most recent. Would we need, 3 nodes on it, 1 node on it? What kind of, what configuration do we need if we were to do that?
I think the minimum is 2.
Okay, all right. So
I think it's enough, right? Rafael, what do you think?
Could you just rephrase the question? I did not.
So Rao was asking how many nodes would be enough for this network that is more stable without constantly deploying something, or
3 might be fine. Just 3 nodes.
Or I said 2 nodes, just
yes,
to have
two. That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
This is not to prove anything. This is just to, so that
yeah, just to have something to work with.
And,
correct. Yeah, and something to work with, and something that allows a multi-parent type of a scenario. So that's fine. Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll probably try to put something in place for that, where we're not running anything and we just have maybe a couple of older servers, like a Xeon servers or something like that, and then hook up something that's available for that. But meanwhile, I think if this is not expected behavior for what the current node is doing, we should ask NutZipper to run flame graphs on it. Tomsla, would you be able to do that? Describe the scenario for him and say run.
I wanted to ask Rafael if we can, just send to NutZipper.
Okay.
Exactly what he's doing. I mean, it's just requesting a name, so yeah.
Right. Why can you do that, Rafael? So that.
Yes. Oh, sorry, my screen is not shared anymore. So this is just the RChain perf repository I shared. So I will just add this file, and so everyone will be able to run the same call and see how much
Right,
time.
and you're on the, what I'm saying is, since you're on the dev channel, and since you're on the RChain dev channel, in there, in the performance channel, just put how he needs to replicate and trace what's going on with the flame graph. And if you put the instructions in there in the performance channel, NetZipper can run it and run flame graph on it, and we can take a look at it to see what's going on.
Okay, great. I'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in general, anytime you're running into issues like this, I would say that should be the approach, is pick the right channel in the dev RChain, and then just give all the data possible to kind of work on it. Now, if you want to, you can also go ahead actually enter a Jira ticket with all that information. But I think starting in the dev, NetZipper can add a Jira ticket if he thinks that's needed or something like that. But
yeah, and maybe we should expand later this to you know the real question: how to get the data and be sure that you know is it there or is it not.
so is that an informational gap, or is it a
Well, I'm not sure what is the correct way, because you know what Rafael wants totally makes sense. You know, you have some name you don't know on which deploy, but you just want to extract the data and say okay.
Well, did you guys look at DOM's API to see if that helps?
So the DOM API is this trace API, and his sample application uses this trace API. So
okay, so
so you can get all the info from the blocks, but at the end you have rolling code to inspect. Yeah.
I know what happened, that my picture is not coming through. Weird. Oh, I know what happened. Okay. All right. So I guess you're saying the way to get the specific data is not in there in the API.
So this is the what Rafael is using. This is the method to get the data directly. You can say, oh, I want the data from this unforgeable name. And another way is to just trace all the blocks and then find the rolling code which holds your data. And this is not easy thing to do. I already shared a link to DOM's sample or part of the code when he's using regular expressions to parse string and get the transactions. So I'm not sure if you know this is the what we want to for Dapp developers to do, to parse rolling code.
So I'm trying to think, do we need an alternative to DOM's approach, or do we need to put some feature or function over DOM's API to do stuff?
Yeah, more in over DOM's API to get something.
So can you create a ticket for that?
Yeah, sure.
And just like label it as Mercury usability, and then we'll get to it. I guess at least it'll be there.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as a part of this web API. So DOM's API is closely related to reporting or WebSockets, or so. It would be nice that this is not connected to some protocol, that we can just expose this data whatever we want, or gRPC or HTTP or whatever. So yeah, I will definitely look into it and try to figure out what is the correct way.
Okay, so this is not going to be solved by what you are currently working on.
Not directly, but yeah, I'm planning to somehow converge and find solution to this.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if it makes sense, you can create a ticket for that. But then Raphael can put a request to find, or let's find out via flame graph what's going on the slow performance. And then a separate task item is I'll try to get the two nodes needed. Jim, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that for the functionality we want, like get balance, okay, we can do a GraphQL resolver for that and not decide how we're ultimately going to do it. But, you know, just create the model of how we want the data and the resolvers that give us that.
Yeah, sure. And this interface that I'm creating, it's something similar to that. Yeah, it basically describes what we want to expose, and yeah, we can later add these features like GraphQL resolvers or yeah.
Sweet. I guess we have a newcomer in the Dapp developer group. When did we want to? Is anybody engaged with him?
I saw this message, his message today, and sent him a private message, but I did not get answer yet.
Who is this?
I don't know.
Akam Imsong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did get a friend request from him, but no specific stuff. Okay, so he's trying to develop dApps. Is that what it was? Or
Yeah, he was going to talk about his DApp at, I guess, their next meeting. And I believe he's the same person that asked how to participate in a comment on our YouTube Friday meeting on the computational
calculate.
So, but I did tell him that we were meeting now, but he hasn't joined. So I told him that also that we normally have a meeting at 3 p.m. New York time, when, you know, which we can still meet him then.
Very good. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Does anyone have any final thoughts or comments? So I'll post this session onto YouTube. So Tomislav, you can watch the beginning, watch Arvin's updates on the front end. So I'll post in Discord when that's available. And so since we went over the Dapp developer section during this hour, we won't have the Dapp developer session later on today. So I'll make a note that that's been canceled. So very good. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Let me add one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm engaged with Big Life on this rapid sense making project. And that uses basically bots to create interaction and ask questions, basically survey the people. And it uses the Discord or the Telegram as a channel to contact you and get feedback from you. So it's a framework for that's they're using for rapid sense making, which would be very easy to enhance with robot. You have our Golang programs orchestrate the bots that are used in the test making environment, which I thought would be really cool.
How do you configure it?
I've looking for interest in it.
And how do you configure it? Do you need to specify some questions or?
I can let's see. I probably I don't know why my machine is not behaving. Darn it. Well, I'll put the link in the chat. It's part of, they have, I haven't looked into their app much. I can.
It would be nice if this is like a library that we can just, include in JavaScript and just call it.
Okay, but what I was looking to do was enhance the what do you call it? So this framework, oops. Okay, well, it has connectors to different chat systems, which is really cool. So anybody can be in any chat system and participate in these group processes. It's whatever chat system they want. Of course, the only ones they support now are Mattermost and Telegram. But you can always add another one. Well.
So it'll be nice if we can add Discord to it. And I think it may have some governance implications, like we could probably generate, I mean, there was a lot of conversation apparently with RChain Europe about tools for governance. And this could be like a component or a foundation for something like that, where we can generate people's views on governance related issues, or even say things like, what features should we prioritize from Dapp developers, things of that kind.
Yeah, and we can even experiment using the toy contracts for the superfluid democracy, which is essentially operational. I mean, working on RChain. Just the security is not really there, but. What am I sharing anyway?
You're sharing the repository.
Okay, so, that was, so I don't know if as of this minute, I don't see any reaction from the rapid sense making group. That's Robert Best and Connor, the MetaMaps guys. Oh, did I give you the? Okay, yeah, I gave you the URL of the of the framework.
Hey guys, if I could just jump in for a sec, I just want to remind everybody that there's a token sale going on now. The co-op is in pretty desperate need for more sales to take place. So if anybody knows anybody who wants to purchase in this current round of token sales, just want to remind everybody, I would say, I guess, reach out to one of the board members or to Greg. But there is a token sale ongoing. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that co-op still needs to sell tokens to survive. So.
And that's at 2 cents?
No, I think it's 15 cents with big discounts if you're buying in bulk. This was what the board, now I think there's a special board meeting today. I don't know if that's going to come up, but that was what the board had approved quite a few months ago. And but Greg yesterday did reiterate that for bulk purchases, there are some big discounts. So, you know, please let anybody who may want to buy rock at still a great price. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. If anybody wants to buy rock, you know, please reach out because we can, you know, you know, yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ned.
Does anybody have an idea what domain Occam's Dapp is in, or do we not know?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, Occam is apparently interested in getting his Dapp implemented on RChain and was contacting people. So I'm wondering if anybody knows or has a high-level idea about what his Dapp is all about.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's free to reach out to me if he wants to talk about it.
Why don't you respond to him in Colab, Ned?
Sure. Yeah, okay. I mean, he should be aware of the regular Discord channel for the co-op as well.
Right, he is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he in both in general and in the Dapp developers group, he introduced himself.
Okay. If you speak to him, he could just DM me directly, but I'll go look for him. Well, what's his name?
Akam Imsong.
Okay. All right.
I copied it in the chat.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. So we'll see everybody next week. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. For those who celebrate, have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ned.
So we will meet at 3 if Akam says he's going to be there.
Oh, okay. So, Jim, I won't be able to attend the 3 o'clock Eastern Time meeting. I've got a board meeting. So, if he wants to have a meeting, could you host that?
Certainly, yeah. I'll record it. You know, just so we know what his app is, right?
Okay. Yeah. If he wants to attend, we should do that. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.